Hello, welcome to this training. I believe it's going to be a very informative one. Our employees need to be empowered, and this training is one that has enough information that will help us on the chosen topic, and we'll be able to impact our employees and empower them in areas that's going to be very productive and empowering going forward. Without taking too much time, I'd like to share the material for this evening. I would want us to take time, follow the training itself, and let's see how far we get. It's going to be about 15 minutes long, and I believe that we'll all have some kind of input at the end of the session. Now, my material is the one that I'm sharing, and I'm hoping everyone can see it. I'll take time to expand a bit. The topic for this session or this training session is titled Mental Health in the Workplace. Mental health in the workplace. It is a very, very interesting topic. And I'm sure in the last few years, with the advent of COVID and the impacts that it's had in the lives of many people, many of whom we know, mental health has become a very, very important aspect of workplace. And as managers, as leaders, as supervisors, it is important that we bring this information to our employees, getting them to understand that some of the things and reactions that we see in the workplace has a place where it stems from, getting them to understand how to react, how to respond, and how to manage employees, colleagues, friends, and families that might be going through a mental health related situation. So please, if you have pen, if you have paper, let's get into the training for today. Now, to observe all COVID protocols, COVID is still relevant in today's society. We're still battling it. So please, it's important that we wear our mask if we're indoors, as the president has said in his last briefing. Sanitize, we need to always sanitize. Keep a safe distance of about 1 meter as per the recent COVID regulations. Like I said, COVID is still relevant. COVID is still there. We're still trying to beat this evil of our society. And some of our house rules. For questions, please feel free to use the comment section in this video. Cell phones must please be switched off for the duration of this training. You may also take notes, but please be informed that a link to this recording will be made available after the training. I'll ensure that the link is sent through. So if there's anything that you do miss, you'll be able to recap and get as much information as possible. I'm the facilitator for this evening. My name is Amaka Ijeoma. I have a degree in transport and logistics and over 8 years of training and facilitating in the health and safety industry in South Africa. I've worked in mines, I've worked in several industries, hence I'm able to articulate this concept from my experience. Now, what will you be learning this evening? You would learn why mental health training for employees is very important. We would also look at the topics that mental health training employees would cover. We'd also look at some tips for self-care in the workplace. Now, studies have revealed the poor standing of mental health in South Africa. We haven't really come to a point where we appreciate the impact of mental health in the workplace. In several workplaces, people do not really understand what mental health is. They are either misdiagnosed, misunderstood, and poorly handled. The South African Depression and Anxiety Group reports that as many as 1 in 6 South Africans suffer from anxiety, depression, or substance use problems. And this does not include the more serious conditions such as bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. Some of these people you and I know, we've been opportune to encounter them, but simply do not understand why they react the way they react or why they perform certain things the way they do. In the last 2 years, we know that COVID has had a dire impact in people's lives, in people's businesses, and as such, it has a direct impact in their mental health. A lot of us react or are responding to some of the challenges that we've gone through in the last few years. And we see these things play out in the workplace. Mental health in the workplace is a very, very serious issue. Yet, many organizations do not provide mental health training for employees. And I'm hoping that today's training will give us some kind of understanding of why it is important. It would also give us some tips of how to also understand what mental health is, identify it, and also handle it. Why is mental health training for employees important? Because mental health disorders are invisible, a person can appear healthy while concealing and suffering from something that is mental. Now, it is not like a broken arm, it is not like a broken leg, it is not like a cut on the face or an arm, it is concealed within. And we most times only get to see the reaction of people that are suffering from one or two mental disorders. Training helps people recognize mental distress in others and in themselves, and hopefully inspires more people to seek help. If we do not have the requisite training, people do not really know if there's a way, to seek help. They do not know how to go about it. They do not even know what to say or how to present themselves. Mental health training programs aim to teach employees and managers about common health or mental health conditions and reduces the stigma surrounding them. Like I said in my opening, South Africa does not have a very good record when it comes to handling mental health cases. We tend to stigmatize people who suffer from one mental health condition or the other, which shouldn't be. Mental health is real, and there are helps that people can get to help them manage it. People learn to spot the warning signs of cyberbullying, trauma, depression, and anxiety, and excessive stress in themselves and others from proper training. While all employees can benefit from this training, we know it is often given to employees in caring roles or those who interact with the public, such as teachers, health workers, first responders, librarians, and social workers. We know most of them have had this training. But it is important for all employees to be trained likewise because we all suffer the same thing. Now, what topics should mental health training for employees cover? What are the areas that we would want to cover while doing this training? There are more than 200 mental health disorders, so it is impossible to cover all of them. We can, however, start by focusing on a few tips relevant to the workplace. Here are some examples. Corporate mental health training. The focus here is on preventing stress and burnout. In the corporate space, where sometimes result is all that counts, people tend to overwork themselves. People overwork themselves and do not even know when they get to a burnout state. You find people just unable to work anymore. There's no motivation. There's no reason to even come to the office the next day. And we tend to misunderstand or misdiagnose that situation. So corporate mental health training is very important, even as we aspire to achieve set goals and targets. Suicide intervention and prevention. Here, employees recognize when other employees or clients are in trouble and give them tools to help them. We have seen people who commit suicide and we ask ourselves why. These people look perfect, they look healthy, they do not have any reason to commit suicide. And that is because we have not been able to identify or spot those small information that they give away that shows that they are in desperate need for help. And as such, if we're trained enough, we can help prevent that suicide from happening. Now, addiction and substance abuse. Now, statistics would tell us that it costs the US over $740 billion per year in costs that are associated with crime, lost work productivity, and healthcare. People who suffer from addiction need support and resources. And sometimes when we see them, we do not understand why they got into it in the first place. We do not understand the fact that help was at some point needed, and their dependency on substance is as a result of not getting this help that is so needed. So training puts us in that position where we can identify when these colleagues, friends, or family or ourselves need help instead of now depending on some kind of substance. Anxiety. Anxiety is on the rise in South Africa and goes hand in hand with chronic stress and burnout. Anxiety is there. We find people who today are not sure how the next meal will come from. People who, like I said, the last year or two of COVID has wiped out their source of income. People are unemployed, people are not financially stable, and all of that brings anxiety. We have youth mental health. It includes self-esteem issues, abuse, eating disorders, and other topics. And when you see this happen amongst the youth, it is a cry for help. And as a trained employee, we can then render that help, guide them how to go through that phase. We have first aid training. First aid training is essential for all workers, more so for teachers and healthcare providers who need to recognize and know how to deal with mental health issues during and after crisis or traumatic situations. Now, self-care. Self-care, very important. Training employees to recognize mental health issues is an important step in ensuring everyone has the knowledge and help that they need. But maintaining mental health is also important and often overlooked. The fact that we help somebody get over a mental health situation does not mean that they will not go back to that situation. So helping them understand how to now carry on from there is very, very important. The World Health Organization defines self-care as the ability of individuals, family, and community to promote health, prevent diseases, maintain health, and to cope with illnesses and disability with or without the support of a healthcare provider. It really empowers them to now be able to stand on their own. Now, while many people employ self-care in their personal lives, it can be difficult to find ways to practice self-care in the workplace. Evolving to a place where we no longer treat self-care as a luxury and instead treat it as a necessary part of the job is an essential step in taking care of employees. We have heard of big corporates who find ways to make their employees feel at home. They provide swimming pool at the workplaces. They have gym facilities at the workplaces. They have, recreational facilities. Employees can go sit in a console and play video games just to help them ease. And that is part of self-care. Now, beyond physical health, caring for relationships, emotions, and the mind is an investment that ensures everyone on your team can contribute their best to the company. Some people resist the idea of implementing self-care strategy in the workplace as there are misconceptions about what it might entail. Now, tips for self-care, which I think we can all make use of. Number one, encourage walk-in meetings. Rather than spend more time, at our desk, taking a meeting outside for a walk can be very refreshing. Moving your body is a great way to refresh your mind, and exercise is good for your physical health. You find employees with a supervisor, with a manager, taking a walk around the garden if your workplace has a garden, and having conversation. That is also a meeting. I believe that such will help us de-stress at times and take us out of the conventional or traditional, workplace meeting environment. Schedule small breaks. It is tempting to convince yourself to keep working through a project even when you're mentally tired. Taking short break to walk around the block or sit in your car or listen to your favorite song while you eat your favorite snack can revive your mental focus and actually help you finish the project quicker than if you hadn't taken a break. Sometimes you just need to de-stress, like we say. You take a walk, you de-stress, and then you come back and continue. Also, updating your environment is another tip. Make your workplace a place where you want to be. Your workspace should be a place where you're comfortable, where you can be yourself. And it should be a place that you are comfortable being in. Use photos, plans, children's art if you have children. Anything that makes you smile will often bring out the best in you. If your environment brings you joy, you'll be comfortable and productive there. Number four, step away from screens. Playing games on your phone during the break doesn't actually help you. Stepping outside, watching nature for 10 minutes could really be some kind of stress reliever. Number five, encourage lunch breaks away from your work areas. Some people over time, they tend to have this habit of eating at their work desk. And in eating, you're working. So you're really not taking any kind of work break. Encourage work lunch breaks away from work areas where you can just go eat properly and then go back to work. Everyone has plowed through lunch at their desk without looking away from work from time to time, which is true. It's tempting to try to finish work early, but without a brief break to eat a meal and reclaim mental health, the project could take longer to complete. Number six, stop criticizing yourself. I know we all want to push ourselves. We all believe that we can do more, but stop criticizing yourself. We sometimes undervalue ourselves or criticize our work in fear that it is not good enough. But this is a bad habit, a very bad habit, because it can lead to negative feelings about all of your work. Also, keep an eye out and offer encouragement to co-workers who might be criticizing themselves in a similar manner. Number seven, celebrate accomplishments. If we work in a place where we should learn to celebrate accomplishment of our employees, if possible, celebrate birthdays, celebrate special days. It just gives our employees that self-worth. It makes them excited. It makes the workplace warm and healthy to be in. Hit the pause button and acknowledge a job well done, whether by you or by your co-workers. In conclusion, the first step to helping employees and loved ones is to get them to talk about it. And for people to talk about what they go through requires a safe space. They need to earn your trust. They need to know that they're not speaking to someone who would use that information against them. There are still so many sufferers who feel alone, scared, and misunderstood. And we find them in the workplace. Increased awareness and a policy of educating the employees about mental health issues will really encourage more people to share their diagnosis and to seek help. And that is what you want the workspace to really look and feel. You want people to be comfortable enough to say, I am going through this. Do you know anybody that can help me? You want people trained to a point where they know how to approach a fellow colleague or an employee who is going through something and know how to get them to express themselves and to open up to them. So going forward, every time you ask someone a question like, how are you? Which we tend to ask virtually every day, take time to really hear their answer. It shouldn't just be a question we ask and then we continue, but really take time, hear what their response is, look into their eyes and really understand where that response comes from. Thank you very much.